Hello, everybody. I'm Graham Glass. I'm the founder and CEO of CYPHER Learning, and I'm a huge AI and education enthusiast. A little bit about my own background before I demonstrate some of these cool features. I used to be a professional educator. So I was teaching computer science at the University of Texas at Dallas. And during my time there, I created a lot of courses the old-fashioned way. And I got pretty good at it, but I have to say it wasn't necessarily the most enjoyable part of my job. I actually prefer the act of teaching, probably more than anything. And then I founded a professional training company and was teaching computer technology all over the United States to companies like Bell Northern Research and Northern Telecom and Texas Instruments. And during my tenure there, I created also a lot of courses. Not just myself, but also I assisted other people in creating courses. And during that time frame, I did come up with a sort of course creation methodology, which I think works really well. And so when we were building AI technology to help instructors like myself to build courses, we tried to take a lot of the best practices that I had learned and bake them into the way our AI system works. Now, this course creation feature is only one part of CYPHER Agent, which is kind of your personal agent for all things learning. So it's not just for instructors who want to help people to learn, but it's also for students who want to learn at their own pace and get coached and get assessed and practice skills, etc. But today's webinar is going to be focused primarily on course creation. Although at the very end, I am going to show you a couple of cool things that a little bit about how to learn using the CYPHER agent, and also an unreleased feature. And this will be the first time that I have ever demonstrated that live. So without further ado, what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen. So what you should be seeing now is my demo platform in the CYPHER platform. And down here on the lower right is the FAB. And FAB stands for Floating Agent Button. And if you click that, that's the way to find out what are all the things that CYPHER Agent can do for you. And this is the Learn feature is something that I'm going to be showing you towards the end of the webinar, but we're going to focus on course creation initially. So I figured that probably the best way to do it is to actually just build you a course. But as I'm going to explain how it does it and why it does it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on course here, and I'm going to pick something like digital leadership. Now, it's important to realize that this can actually be a course on anything. You could do a course on pay-per-click marketing, DNA sequencing, how to do customer support in the Philippines, you know, cats and dogs, kittens, it doesn't make any difference, whatever you like. And it can be as specific and as customized as you like as well. When it's building the course, it's not pulling the content from some pre-organized data bank. It's generating the content exactly according to your instructions from its public knowledge drawn from all of humanity. I'm also going to mention that you can also provide it with your own proprietary data. So if you would prefer, hey, I want you to build a course based on this video I've got, or based on a PDF or whatever you want, you can do that as well. So here's going to be the course on digital leadership. It's going to be a self-paced course, and I'm going to say save. And the next step is it will ask you a bunch of questions. And we are always coming up with more and more customization options. We get really good feedback from people who are building a lot of courses with CYPHER Agent. And they go, it would be really good if you could nudge it in this particular direction. And in fact, in a few weeks' time, we're coming up with a more generalized way to do this, where you can even add your own options as well. So in this particular case, here's the topic of the course. You can have different personas. So if you want it done by a very studious professor who's very formal, you can. Thoughtful educator is the default one. That always does a good job. You can decide what level maybe it's going to be targeting advanced in this particular case. Audience, adults by default, but you could have seniors, teenagers, young kids. And the writing style. In this case, I'm going to say I want it to be a bit more casual. Now, additional instructions is the placeholder where you can put anything else that you want. So if you were doing, you could say, make sure to mention XYZ, and it will incorporate XYZ into your course. Or you can say, make sure that you cover the following topics, A, B, C. But you can also get quite goofy. You can say, I want it to be with an Avengers theme, and all of the text will morph and it will become all about the Hulk and Captain America or whatever you want. But I'm not going to do that here. This is for corporate use. So this is where you can steer it in a lot of different directions. And we support 50 different output languages. Unfortunately, English is the only language I'm fluent in, so I'm going to stick with English. This one, generation mode, is one of my favorites, and it's one that we only released a few weeks ago. So by default, if you say all at once, what it will do, it will go through every step of course generation automatically from beginning to end. And that's the mode to pick if you just want to kick up your feet, have a cup of coffee, and at the end look at the whole course. I'm going to pick step by step. And what step by step does is it does the first part of course creation and then pauses. And you can adjust the output from that phase. And when you're happy with it, you can click continue and it will go to the next phase. So that's a really, really nice one for people who want to have fine tuning. I'm going to use AI for the course imagery. And there's a lot to pick from. 3D models are a pretty good one, I think. But, you know, if you want to be more lighthearted, you could have picked anime, for example, fantasy art. Cinematic looks like a Bond movie. It's like really, really polished. And different formats. So full format will give you quite a lot of content and multiple images and embedded videos. Micro-learning format is more like bite-sized learning, which I actually think is a bit more common in corporate environments. So I'm going to pick micro-learning. If you want digital voiceovers, you can request that as well. And it will put a button on the page. So when you see the page, you click the button and it just speaks to you, which is really, really good for if you want accessibility and you want people to be able to listen to the course if they are hard of seeing, for example. I'm not going to do it in this case because it adds a few more minutes to the generation of the course and I don't want it to take too long. And then I'm going to quickly go through the rest of the features. Custom data allows you to upload your own data and say, build it from anything, Microsoft Word doc, PDF, video. And rest assured, that content is not used for training purposes by any of the AI vendors that we have licensed. So we're really careful to only use premium AIs from well-known vendors, and those vendors are all legally bound to not keep your content or use it for training. Now for skills. So one of the areas that we really excel at is skills mapping. And what I mean by that is, let's just say that you're going to teach pay-per-click marketing. Now, the way I always used to design my courses is I would start by saying, what am I going to teach? And not just, oh, I'm going to teach pay-per-click marketing. That's obvious. But here are the 20 things that you are going to learn in the course. And that's kind of like the backbone of your course. If you haven't really thought that through, then you could build a course that doesn't really cover all the main materials. So you're going to say there's going to be, in this case, 20, this could be 30, it could be 5, it could be 10. How many specific skills are you going to teach in this course? And by default, it will come up with those skills, but you can say existing, and you can pick from a built-in database of hundreds of industry standard skills maps for the US HOPE standards, the European ESCO standards, for example. In higher ed, you can pick from Common Core standards, Filipino standards, or we have a built-in tool for you to design your own skills hierarchy and then select from that. So there's a lot of control that you have over aligning with existing skills or defining new skills. For the content, so in this course, I'm going to build it 10 modules. This is a really cool feature, cross-check content with another AI. So we use premium AIs for generation of the content, but obviously one of the things people worry about is, well, what happens if the content is wrong? Now, it's obviously really important for an instructor to personally scrub the content. That goes without saying. But why not allow another AI from another vendor to also help you in that task? So if I click Crosscheck, the output from one premium AI will be fed into a premium AI from another vendor. And if they both agree, then there's a much, much less chance that there's anything wrong. And it'll actually report that to you. You'll see the output. For the images, I can select images from the web, or brand new thing here, generate with AI. I cannot resist. I am going to click this. I've never ever done a public demo. I'm going to use 3D model. Now for the image text, for micro learning, it's usually better to just not have any text because the images are more, just visually pleasing. If you were going to use it in a formal setting, then you might do lightly caption, but I'm going to select none here. You can include videos if you want. These won't be AI generated videos. These will be videos embedded from YouTube. It's totally up to you whether you do that or not. I'm just going to say no. You can have a glossary at the end, all the terms that are covered in the course, and it will also, if you want to, automatically generate you a study guide. So I'm going to do the glossary, but not the study guide. If you want assessment, you can pick any number of assessments. We've got group assessments, individual assessments, quizzes, which are quite common, or written assessments. And when you have quizzes, we have multiple question types and you can pick how many of each. So I'm going to include a quiz. And then CYPHER platform has world-class gamification built into it. We're not limited to just you get a badge at the end of the course. You can give points and badges and level up and trigger automation actions when you level up. And those points can be awarded under almost any circumstance. So I'm going to let the AI automatically gamify this course as well. Phew. So here it's basically saying CYPHER Agent is designed to get 80% of the course done. Okay, we're very, very honest. We don't say this course is going to be utterly perfect in every way. What we're saying is we're going to give you an incredibly strong start, 80%, and then you would go in and tune it, add your own anecdotes, add, tweak the ordering, tweak the text. But that 80%, by the way, is really, really good. And while we were building this system, I asked the AI to create courses that I personally used to create while teaching at university and while teaching in corporate America, and they were really good. I would have saved myself, I don't know, 100 hours plus by using this system. So we're going to kick it off, and while it's doing its thing, I'm going to talk through what it's doing in the background. So I mentioned that the first thing that's really important in a course is to decide what exactly are you going to teach. That's what we call the skills phase. And because this is vitally important, we use one of the best for generating that. So we use OpenAI O3, which is their most advanced reasoning model, to think deeply through what is it going to teach. And as you see, it didn't take very long, and it says I can click here to review and then continue. So I click on this, and this is what it's going to be teaching for digital leadership. So it nicely organizes all of these skills that it's going to be teaching. And at this point, ideally, an instructor, a domain expert would review these things and say, is this exactly what I want? I can add some, I can remove some, I can pull in other ones. You can change this to your heart's content. And when you are happy with what it's got, then you can just say, continue. And now it'll flip back to where we were going before. It's going to generate a course overview with an AI generated image. And then it's going to build the module structure. So the skills is the backbone. The module structure is kind of like the skeleton, if you like. So the module structure is basically the AI figuring out, given the set of skills that I'm going to teach, what is the most eloquent order, the most natural order to teach those skills? Because there's a lot of different ways you can teach the same set of skills. There's different ordering, there's different anecdotes that you might use. So this is a really, really important phase. So once again, we use the O3 reasoning model from OpenAI to think through this thing deeply. And while it's doing it, I will mention that we are constantly looking at upgrading our AIs, because O3 is the best one from OpenAI right now. Maybe next week it's ChatGPT 5, maybe it's O5, maybe it's Gemini 3. It's hard to say. So that's the reason that we do not expose or lock anybody into a particular model, because behind the scenes, we have the freedom to always be improving the generation. The other thing that we optimize for is cost. So sometimes there might be two models that are very, very similar, but one costs 10% of the other model. And if that's the case, we can save our customers money by switching to the less expensive model. So it's done the module structure. I click here, and now I can see the flow of the course. And you can also see the AI imagery, which looks pretty cool. And then what you would do at this point is that you would consider the module flow, see if you like the way it flows. You can drag and drop modules around. You can delete modules. You can edit their titles. You can add new modules. So you're coming up with a skeleton that the meat of the course is going to be hanging off of. So let's just say, for the sake of discussion, that this is fine. But as I mentioned, you have the opportunity to change it any way you want. Then I'm going to click continue. So the next thing that it does, to use my skeleton analogy, it's like the module structure was the big bones, the section structure is the small bones. So the section structure is not the actual content, but within every module, there are going to be 3 sections. That's how we told it to give us 3 sections per module. So now what it's looking at is, for a given module, how am I going to split that module into sections that flow naturally? And it doesn't do this on a per module basis. It does this across the entire course, because it's really important for the modules to flow naturally from beginning to end when viewed from the big picture. So we use O3 again. This is a reasoning model that can spend a fair bit of time looking at trying to come up with the perfect section structure. And once it's done this, that's your last chance to edit, tweak, modify things. And then once you say continue, at that point, it's off to the races and it generates everything else. So we take a look at this. It automatically, by the way, switches into the view that shows you all the sections lined up, which is a time saver. So now I can scroll down and I can see for every module, here are the sections that are going to be generated. And as before, you can delete, edit, add, do whatever you like. Make sure it's all looking good. And then continue. So now it's time to actually build the content for the course. And one of the things that we spend a lot of time on is speed. So obviously you want courses to be cost effective. Like without AI imagery, a typical full-blown course with quizzes and everything else is around between $3 and $5. It's incredibly cheap relative to the value that it generates. I think the pure AI imagery probably adds around another $10, and that's for a lot of images all generated by AI. So what it's doing now is it goes as much in parallel as it can. I remember in the early versions of this, we were doing each section one at a time, and it would take, half an hour to build a course, which is fast, but we knew that we could do better. And now what it does, it builds each module in parallel. So it's actually building 10 modules at the same time. And for every module, it's going through section by section, building the content, building the images, running the AI Crosscheck, doing all that kind of stuff. So this is going to take a few minutes to do. And while it's doing that, I'm going to take the liberty of showing you another CYPHER Agent feature, which is the Learn feature. Now, the general idea behind Learn, by the way, is to allow people to really easily learn in the moment anything that they want. And that can be powered by proprietary data or by public data. Because we really believe that in a corporate environment, there's going to be a trend towards learning things in the moment and gradually using formal courses less and less. And I think that is substantiated by the massive adoption of ChatGPT and Gemini and all things AI. So what I can do here while it's doing this, I'm going to click on here, click on learn. What would you like to learn? And I'm just going to say pay-per-click marketing. But once again, this can be anything that you want. And this is highly optimized. To get it to work as fast as you're seeing took a lot of engineering work. So unlike ChatGPT, which essentially gives you a wall of text, we wanted something that was a bit more structured and user-friendly. So if I'm interested in pay-per-click marketing, it's generating me a nice image. It's giving me an introduction. It's giving me a concept map. So here are the 20 aspects of pay-per marketing that you might want to, pay-per-click marketing you might want to click on. So I could go sequentially like a book, or I can jump like landing page optimization, and it will take me to the table of contents area, which is specific to landing pages. And notice in the upper right hand where it says generating content, it then runs it through an AI crosscheck. So even when you're learning in the moment, we're using a different AI from a different vendor to check the accuracy of the information. It's also interactive. So not only do I generate this content, but I can say, tell me more, please. So you can talk to the AI. It's not just a one-way dump of information. It's conversational. So if there's something that you really want help on, or you have a very specific question, you can just have the conversation and the AI will take that into account. So I'm not going to dwell too much on this because that wasn't the focus of the webinar, but this is just another example of where we're innovating with combining AI and education. And this is a learner-focused feature for learning in the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and close that for right now, see how this is doing. Now, it is going to take a little while longer, but I can show you what it's done so far. So let's take a look at Foundations of Digital Leadership. And here are the 3 sections that it's been building. Oopsie, click here. And here is an example of one section of the course. So first of all, notice that it's telling me, hey, this was cross-checked and it was accurate. That's good to know. Now, once again, I would still personally review it, but the very fact that 2 premium AIs, we use Gemini 2.5 Flash, just in case you're interested. The fact that 2 premium AIs both agree that this is accurate is a really good start. So I can close that. Here is the actual content. And this was an AI generated image. And one of the really nice things about AI generated images is you don't have to worry about copyright. So unless you're prepared to spend quite a lot of money licensing expensive imagery or using images from the web and checking copyright, AI generated images is an incredibly fun, easy way to not worry about that stuff at all. And this is the second one here. And this is using the style AI model. So you can do cinematic, you can do anime. There's like lots of different styles that you can do here. But I picked the model for the imagery that also matched the imagery I was using for the modules. And if you hover over the image, you can see, hey, this is the part of the prompt that the AI used. And here's the last one here. And I absolutely love AI imagery. It's very quickly becoming my favorite feature. It just saves you so much time and it looks good. Notice, by the way, we do mention here, it may contain inaccuracies. So it's built by AI. It might make mistakes, but you can always click replace, and you can replace this with an image from the web if you want, or your own proprietary image, or you can ask the AI to regenerate the image and maybe give it a nudge in a particular direction. If I click here in details, I can get back to my status. Oh, so it's finished building all the sections, which is great. Now it's building all those quizzes. Now I mentioned that we really specialize in deep skills mapping. So what that means is all of the skills, and I can click on mastery here, all of the skills here that this course was going to be aligned to, every single aspect of this course now is being linked to its associated skills. So for example, if I go to module 2 and I click here on skills, notice it's saying module 2 is going to be teaching these particular skills. And if I go to module 3 is teaching these particular skills. So as the students go through this course, we know automatically which particular skills they are learning about. And even more detail than that, here are all the quizzes that were built. So we added one quiz per module. This particular quiz is going to be verifying mastery of these particular skills. And here are the questions that were generated. And if I click on a question, this specific question is targeting this particular skill. So as the learners go through the course, we actually automatically generate a skills map. And there's nothing here because there's no learners, but you can imagine down the left are all the learners, on the right are all the skills, and then we will show color-coded progress in each individual skill. And that's a very rare feature to find in a corporate learning platform. It's also gamified. So the game it generated was called Digital Leadership Quest. And here are all the levels that it came up with. So I added 5 levels in this particular course, and it automatically added our automation systems triggers, so that, for example, when you get to level 1, it'll automatically award you this particular badge. So this is the badge that you would get when you get to level 1. So all of this stuff was done automatically. And if I come down here, it even built the glossary, and it took a total of 12 minutes to build that course, which is like remarkably fast. Now, here's one thing that I learned when we were designing and implementing this particular feature with our team, and that is being able to build a course this quickly opens up a new kind of course development. And I'll tell you what I mean. So, I'm a computer science guy, and one of the big breakthroughs in computer science like 20 years ago was what they call iterative development. And rapid iterative development means that rather than building things in a huge, monolithic, major investment type, what you do is you build a small part of the system quickly and you test it, and then you build the next part quickly, and you can iterate on your system much more quickly than the old waterfall method. And now think about course design. With course design, in the past, like when I was building it, it was a major effort. It's like hundreds of hours, thousands of dollars of investment. And if you make a mistake halfway through a course, you're not in good shape because you've sunk a lot of time into a particular flow, for example, of the course. But AI-powered course generation using CYPHER Agent enables rapid course iterative development. So if I was building a course now, I would build 3 courses, 3 versions of the same course right away. So if it's $5 a course, I build 3 different versions for $15. And then what I do is I test it out with some early users. And if everybody likes version 2 of the course, then I archive version 1 and 3 because they might be useful some other time. And then I invest and put the extra 20% of effort into finishing up version 2 of a course. But without that particular AI-powered approach, it's much, much harder to do that. So that kind of covers the main philosophy behind the course creation. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to see if there are any other questions. Oh, there is one. Let's see if there are. Does your skills analytics have a constraint? If there are more than 5,000 results per student, the results can't be displayed. So typically in a course, you're not going to have 5,000 skills. Best practice would be a particular skill. I mean, a particular course, you might be measuring between 20 and 40 skills. If one course was attempting to teach 5,000 different things, I don't think that would really be practical. So I would say within, normal course design, there's no problem at all. But yeah, I think if you were to try and pack thousands of skills into a single course, then the course would work. But if you clicked on mastery, it's just not practical to show a grid with 5,000 columns in it. It would probably just time out. So yeah, there is a practical constraint, but I would claim that it's fairly reasonable. Now, Caitlin, are there any other? Oh, another one was, who are the AI vendors that you use? So what we currently use is we use OpenAI, and OpenAI specifically we use O3, which is what we use for the most, intense parts of course creation, for example. We use 4.1, which is much, much faster, and is what we use for the generation of the content. That's also what we use in the Learn tool. We use the image model, the new image model for the AI generation of imagery. And we use 4.1 nano for tagging of content with skills, because tagging is something which doesn't require a lot of brain power, I guess, from the AI.
Okay.
So
sorry, finish your thought.
Yeah, so we use 4 different models from O1. From Gemini, we use 2.5 Flash currently for AI Crosscheck. For voice generation, we use 11 Labs. And for the tile generation, we use Stability AI. I say all that with the caveat that that could change tomorrow. So we're always finding the best mix to give you most accuracy and price performance.
Right. Tom added just a clarifying statement to his question about the skills. He was wondering about if there were 5,000 students in the course, would there be a report limitation on the results?
I don't believe so. I'm actually not an expert on report constraints, so someone would have to get back to Tom on that. But I'm not aware of any reporting constraints related to 5,000.
And reporting is on our roadmap, Tom, so we're going to continue to expand our capabilities there. There was one question, I did answer it in chat, but you might want to have some additional thoughts on it. There was a question about whether when you generate a topic, is it kind of a basic overview of the topic, or can it get really advanced?
It can get really advanced. So when you, and I presume they're talking about course creation.
Yes.
When you do course creation, one of the things that you can select in the right-hand bar is your audience and the level of the course. So you can say this is for adults and the level of the course must be advanced. And in the additional instructions box, you can say this course is for people who are already experts. So really, really push, the level of advancement in this particular course. So it's completely up to you, but you can generate courses on really sophisticated stuff.
Excellent. All right, I think those are all of the questions that we had.
Super. So just a few parting words from myself, and that is CYPHER Agent is our personal agent for all things learning. So what I showed you today was primarily focused on something it can do from instructors, which is building courses rapidly. I also gave a very quick introduction to the Learn tool, where the CYPHER Agent can teach a learner anything. And I want to underscore that can be driven by any mix of public data or proprietary data. But there are a whole bunch of things in the works that are going to get released over the next 6 months. So Course Agent, where every course has its own agent and can help instructors and students within the course. A Site Agent that can help administrators to fine-tune their CYPHER platform and get the most out of it using best practices. We've got AI-powered coaching, assessment, you name it. So, I showed you some of the early portions of CYPHER Agent, but this particular feature is going to blossom between now and the end of the year.
Yeah, thanks
And
for
I
that,
think
Greg.
that's it from me.
Excellent. So yeah, we will be doing another CYPHER Live covering CYPHER Agent when we have some of these new features ready to launch. So please stay tuned for that. If you're a customer of ours, you have probably got a lot of customer communications from us about CYPHER Agent. There will be more news coming. We alluded to that in our Q&A that we sent out a week and a half ago, I think. So please stay tuned, watch for our communications, watch the website, watch all the places. We'll try to let you know in as many avenues as we can. Again, thank you so much for joining. Thank you to Graham for this excellent demo. And as I said, I'll send you a follow-up email with a link to the recording. All recordings are available on the website or our YouTube channel. That's another place you can go find them. And we're busy creating a bunch of resources for you to leverage. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.